Hello everybody. I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a while, a response video. For the most part, I've kind of left the online community, just kind of wandered off on my own. But I still watch some videos. And I saw a video by Busan Kevin this morning about bullying in Japan, and I felt compelled to make a response video to basically to let Kevin know that I understand and acknowledge and can offer anecdotal and considered support for what he said. My own daughter Emily is 11, and we'll first talk about Kevin's video. Kevin talked. You can see that over on the Busan Kevin channel. And as soon as I get home this evening, I'll put a link up here and down below as well, but it won't be there for the most of the day. So go on over to Busan Kevin's channel and take a look. Kevin talks about his the experience of bullying in Japan and Korea, and he cites appropriately that this is a worldwide problem, but particularly as we both live in this country, it's interesting to note the occurrence here and the circumstance related to the peculiar type of children who are very, very distinct and unique minority, a minority that doesn't even connect to its own parents. You think about this. This is the community of Hafu, the half Japanese children of mixed race here in Japan, who are a very curious minority because they really don't even relate to their parents. They are only relate to one another. One Hafu is most closely associated with another Hafu, Kevin's son. And my daughter can share a more common experience than Emily can with either her mother or father, or Kevin's son could with his mother and father, because we are not halves. I am fully foreign. My wife is fully Japanese. It's a very curious type of minority and a very unique one. And they experience life in Japan in ways that perhaps no one else does. As a foreigner myself, as a full foreigner, so to speak, if you can call yourself that. Gosh, that sounds... I won't go down that road. But as a foreigner, I am granted and allocated the privileges and responsibilities of the foreigner, which is basically to be different, to not expected to be fit in, to not necessarily expected to understand the language or understand the customs or anything at all. That's kind of my duty. So to speak, and professionally and personally and socially. My wife, being Japanese, has to fully conform, fit in, and know the rules and play by them. My daughter, and Kevin's son, on the other hand, are somewhere in between, whereas they are expected to understand and follow the rules in the circles in which they live and operate. At this point, being school for my daughter and for Kevin's son, the preschool environment, the world that he lives in. Not a lot of responsibilities yet, but it's coming. But also, they are granted some of the leeway that foreigners such as myself have in terms of not being expected to understand or think or conform. And whereas that's okay with me, somebody like me, I don't mind, because I feel like I've got my membership in my own culture. And here even though I've been here 10 years and I don't fit in at all. I don't expect to, and it's quite fine with me. And probably that's a disadvantage. In some ways, I probably should change my own mental attitude, but that's enough about me. For the children, though, however, my daughter, Kevin's son, others like that, it's not as easy, because this is the only world that they've really known. I mean, I was talking last night with my daughter. We were watching a show with the United States in it, Mad Men, and we were talking about we were watching that drama lately, and we were talking about various things about life in the 60s in the United States. And for me, this was kind of nostalgic, back in the old days, when I was a baby. And but for Emily, that's as much as talking about parents, Paris after World War II would be somebody to me. It's some foreign history, but it's kind of a connection, but not really. This is her world. And likewise for Kevin's son, as it will be if they choose to stay here in Japan, and for half all over the place. So what happens with these kids? Well, my own daughter's case, she is basically singled out when children in the playground at the schoolyard, when the children seek to go after when they go after one another, as humans are wont to do sometimes, they go for what the apparent weakness, what stands out, as Kevin said, what is distinct and what is unique, what doesn't fit in. And for Hafu, it's not being Japanese, not being full Japanese. And my own daughter has come home many a time. I wouldn't say many a time, but enough times that it's memorable for me. I can remember sitting with her and talking with her. She seems to be disturbed, and she's told me how children at school tell her that she's have told her that she's not Japanese, how that she doesn't fit in, how tease her about being able to speak English, to the point that she is loath to be seen in public with me, for fear that children will associate my presence with Emily being not like the others. And to this day, she will not speak. Starting about the age of, I would say about the age of 6 or 7, she began to completely be unwilling to speak English anywhere in our community, for fear that people would hear her. She's starting to do it a little more further away. She's starting to realize, at age 11, she's starting to realize, and I'm really glad about this, she's starting to realize that she's got something that is a true amazing advantage in being bilingual. She's just starting to realize that. She's seeing how English is appreciated as a skill. She's seeing the ads on TV for English language schools. She sees the ALTs that come to her school and try to teach the kids English. And then she says, Papa, I can hear the two ALTs. They're talking to one another. I understand everything that they're saying. She even told me a funny story where the two ALTs were talking amongst one another in normal native speed about how the kids seemed to be a bit nervous and how they were a little bit confused, and she happened to be sitting right next to them, and she leaned over to them and said, "Yeah, they are." And so she's starting to realize that she has something special here in being different. And Kevin brought up the term half, which is what Japanese, these kids are called, hafu. And I hate it too, Kevin. I hate that term. I really do. And my wife and I have adopted the word double. Daburu. When we tell Emily, I tell Emily, it's not that you're half Japanese, it's that you're full Japanese and you're full American too. And I tell her sometimes you've got membership in two countries. I've even gone as far as to whip out the passports and whip out the Japanese passport and the American passport and say, see these, you are a member of two clubs, sweetie, and that's going to be your birthright and your benefit. One day you'll have to choose one or the other, but you'll always in your heart be a member of both. So in some ways parents can help mitigate the experience in some ways. But that's not all. But in fact, we're not always there. When they're out on the playground, when they're in the schoolyard, it is a difficult thing. Now, I am an educator. I work in a school, and I can't talk about the experiences that I have in school. But I see this. I see it firsthand, and I can tell you this: on the positive side, it's not always the case. It's not all bad. There are a lot of wonderful kids out there who are very sympathetic and understanding, and open to things. And it's experienced differently by some kids. I know some kids who are hafu who embrace it fully. I mean, they don't care. They flaunt it almost sometimes. They're like, they're comfortable with their uniqueness. And that speaks to a strong character and perhaps a support system behind the scenes. But it's not the case with all kids, including my own daughter. Maybe it's my own shortcoming in not raising her to be as comfortable as I should. But for her, it's a difficult thing, possibly because she's in a school where there is only really one other kid that's like her. And if there's more kids like that in the system, maybe it's a little easier. But for Emily, it's quite distinct. So Kevin, I understand what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying with regards to bullying being a problem worldwide and something that needs to be addressed, not just for hafu. And if we're talking about our own children, then we need to do our best as parents to support them and take care of them, and to encourage and enlarge the good understanding. I'll just add one more thing that I don't think Kevin touched on. That is the experience of adults. Well, he did touch on it a little bit. The experience of adults with regard to half. In some ways, it's worse than the kids. The adults just can't seem. Adults here in Japan, many of them, not all, but many of them just don't seem they see our kids as something unique and distinct, and I get those same comments, Kevin, all the time. Everything from, wow, they're astonished that a kid that grows up in Japan can speak Japanese. Even these are our neighbors, people that know we've been here for 10 years, that know Emily has been here since a child. They're astonished that she can speak Japanese, but she can't. But that's going to change. That's going to change as we move forward in time, and as there are more hafu, as the country is more integrated and becomes more international, it will be the case. Well, I'm running out of time, everybody. I'm going to sign off. Thank you, Kevin, for making a thoughtful, informative video. I'm glad I could have a chance to chime in a little bit. Take care, and I may be following you back to our country as well one day as well, but we'll see what happens. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.